Hello, and welcome to this presentation in which I'll be presenting you the exotic car dealership program that I've created. Now, our program is capable of showing us all of the possible cars that the dealership has. It is able to sort them by brand, by color, having mixed options, and if not, sending by ascending price, descending price, and if a car is convertible or not. Now, it is also possible to have a car's details in order to get the brand, the color, its price, acceleration, if it's convertible or not, how many cylinders, and if it's electric. If a user wants to purchase this, clicks on the buy here, enters his information. Right here, this is mine. Right here, there we go, 12, and once purchased, creating a receipt. Now, a lot of things happen, so let's hop into each and everything. Let's rerun it and have a closer look into our controller class. Now, for the controller class, as we can see, there's the checkboxes, all of the boxes that we're using. Obviously, we have here two lists that we'll be using. First off is the display list. That is going to be very useful because it's going to show us the sorted version of our cars, and our cars for sale lists that contains all of the objects created from a car class. So these are all the possible cars that the dealership has. Now, in order to understand all of this better, let's hop into our car class. Now, our car class here is an abstract class. Why using an abstract class? Well, in order to get all of our cars will have the same body, let's just say, and have the same fields, which are the brand, the color, its price, acceleration, cylinder count, and so on. But these are using data types that we know. But brand and colors are enum classes that I've created. First off, we have the brand, which is enum classes that has all of the possible brands that the dealership has, and same goes for the colors. We're all the same. I found it personally better rather than having everything cluttered here in the dealership or in any other classes, as they are static. Final values. Final variables. Sorry, they're not going to be changed. So we are keeping everything here into enum classes in order to get this better and also more convenient. Right here we have constructor, we have our getters and setters, but also right here we have our static classes for each brand. So we have Aston Martin, BMW, Ferrari, Genesis, Lamborghini, Maserati, McLaren, Mercedes, and Rolls-Royce. It's Mercedes Maybach, by the way. Now, let's have a closer look into Aston Martin, for example. Here we have our brand, we have the price, the acceleration, its color, etc. As we can see here, the brand is done thanks to our enum class, which is Aston Martin, and its color here, thanks to colors enum class. Now, the thing here is every car that we're going to create will have, obviously, different prices, different acceleration rate, different cylinder counts. For example, here its price is different from the Aston Martins here. And the issue is also within the same brand, you can have several colors with several different cars. So in order to get a correct picture of what car we're looking for, I'm using several if statements Now, if for example the color chosen for Aston Martin is black, it is going to preview this picture, which leads us to the black car. Then we have for blue, it is going to lead for the blue, the green for the green, etc., etc. Now we also see here a set convertible. Now I have from the getters and setters here a set convertible method that returns and sets if a car is convertible or not. As we can see here in the black and the Aston Martin black car, we only have one black car and it is a convertible as it's written here. So I'm going to set the convertible to be true, and that is going to be very useful later on. Let's hop into Ferrari, for example. Now, in the case of Ferrari here, we have the classic brand, price, acceleration. We have our if statement. So if color is black, we're going to display the black version of the Ferrari. We set convertible, but we also have two white cars. You have a white Ferrari and a white Ferrari convertible. In order to differentiate both, I'm going to, when calling the Ferrari class, not only have the colors but also a Boolean convertible. So when I go here in the cars for sale lists in our controller, I set if a car is convertible or not beforehand, so it's easier for the car class to deal with everything and sort. And as we can see here, for whites, there's one that is convertible, which is this one, and the other one which isn't. And in order to to make a difference, I have this if statement that checks if it's not convertible, it prints one, and if it isn't, it does the other. And it's basically the same for all of our static classes. We can have a quick look here. This one is also an electric car, so we set it electric to be true. Otherwise, it is by default false. Maserati, McLaren, Mercedes, and Rolls-Royce. Now, back to our controller. Once we have our application launched, right here, it is going to use the initialize method at first, which creates a grid pane that gives us this layout here. We have several, I don't have a good display here, but so we have several properties here, setting up into rows, columns, and here is our main loop that is going to get the the images from the selected cars in the cars for sale list. So it's going to get them, it's going to set its width and height. We have this event here that we'll be talking about later, but basically this for loop actually gets all of the images for the cars created and basically prints them out. Once this is done, so it displays all, so here is the display list. It actually works, but it's the initialize, so it's basically the same. Now, our most important method is the on click box, the on checkbox clicked method. That is basically our sorting method. Right here we have our list for colors this time. That is going to be very useful as we are going to put inside this list all of the potential colors that we're storing. Meaning that if here I'm clicking on all colors, it is going to select all colors of black, blue colored cars, gold colored cars, red, and so on. Same goes if the black option is selected. It's going to show us all the black ones, the blue, red, so on and so forth. We have Boolean variables here. The first one, any brand selected, is if any brand here is actually selected. We have a is convertible that looks up if the card selected is a convertible or not, and if this button is clicked. And we have our main filter for loop. for each loop, sorry. What this does is first, it's going to check if a brand is selected or not, thanks to our boolean that we've created here. Then it is going to look up if from any brand selected here, it matches obviously one of the cars. Once it passes this first condition, it's going to look for a selected color. So if we select Aston Martin and if we select black, it's going to look up all of the possibilities from the selected colors list created. These are our conditions, and lastly it's going to check if a car is convertible or not right here. So as we can see in this example I'm showing, this car is an Aston Martin, black color and convertible. Let's try that with another example. Let's go with a color that has what? Here we go, blue, has numerous cars. Let's go for Maserati, only one. Lamborghini, Ferrari, I got 3. Brand selected, blue colors, and are any convertible? 2 out of 3 are convertible. The one that isn't convertible is showed regardless. Alright, now we also have the both ascending and descending. Here what is happening is from the display lists, so the sorted version of the cars for sale list, it is going to sort them using a comparator, and it's going to actually look for each car object, the get price method that actually is right here, and which basically returns the price, and it's going to sort them here in ascending order here. So from the cheapest car to the most expensive, and the descending, which basically is the same but in reversed this time. So the most expensive car to the least expensive car. Now as we can see, they're actually different, but it's because their prices are the same. And so once and every time a filter is being used, we recreate a great pane, and this time we are going to use the display list in our for each loop, whereas the first one, in the initial one, we were using the cars for sale one. And so it basically gets the image and it shows us our example as I've been showing you so far. Now let's focus on our event here. This event here is triggered when I click twice on one of the cars here. What it does is basically whenever I click twice, it summons the, meaning calls the open car info method. It passes the car object that we're currently having, and it basically just opens another window, which is our car info controller. Let's first have a look. I'm going to remove these as we've seen them. And this is our car info controller. Let's see what it looks on the application. Let's go with the Rolls Royce. It's a nice looking car. And here it is. The detail of the car I've chosen. I have the selected picture. I have the brand of the car, the color of the car, its price, the acceleration, convertible, cylinder, and if it's electric or not. Now you're wondering, how have I passed it from one to another? Well, I've basically just, in this controller, I have all of the labels, but a buy button that I'll be talking about later, but I also have a C1 object from car class. And here I'm basically passing this object from our previous controller to this one, and I'm using this time the setters in order to get the information I need. So I'm setting the brand, color, the pictures, the price, and so on and so forth. Here I'm using a number format class in order to get a visually more appealing price variable rather than just having it, because I've initialized it as a string, but this time it puts the comma and the period. So it's just good looking, just aesthetics here. And also the C convertible, if you reckon it was a boolean, and so for more readability here, I've just translated. So if the car is convertible, it's gonna show yes. If it isn't, no. If it's electric, it's yes, and if not, it is no. So very simple, straightforward. That basically just sets everything, displays here, and right here I have a buy button. So this is if a client or a user wants to buy this car, what happens? Well, it actually opens a new stage called this time payment page. This is our controller. This is what it looks like. Let's have a closer look. Now, let's just say I'm interested by this car and I want to purchase it. Well, here is the form that I'm having with. I'm having numerous labels, I'm having text fields here, which I can obviously have inputs, but what is important to us is that we cannot enter anything. Everything. We have conditions to respect, and these conditions are the following. Before that, we have our classic data, our data method here that I'm calling from the controller class here, which is basically the same that I've been using in the car info to get the details here from the car info. I'm using the same method, but this time I'm only setting what is important for me in this page. In the previous one, I needed every single detail. In the payment page, I only need the car's brand, its color, and the image basically, which I'm going to affiliate to the car image view that I have. So here I have a implicit verify method that is going to happen whenever I'm going to click on the purchase. I have several boolean variables here that will check if a condition is true or not. All of them are obviously false by default. And here comes our restrictions. First off, if the text fields are only alpha characters, our boolean first name will become true. If it is not true, it is going to display an error message, enter only letters from A to Z. Same for the last name here. Then I have this credit card number field, this one right here. This one has to be a 16 long digits only. If none of the condition is met, it is going to display enter only 16 numeric values. Right after we have 3 digits code, which has to be 3 digits long, and it has to be numeric characters only. And lastly, the expiration code, the expiration date, which follows the format of month and year, 2 digits only for both. Once all of the boolean variables are set to be true, we are going to open the receipt. But before doing so, let's show it. Here I'm going to purposely cause all of them to have errors. Here, and I'm going to write down, there we go. So I'm going to have errors for each and every text fields. There we go. As we can see here, it's written in red. Let's enter only letters from A to Z. These are not case sensitive, as it is not important for us. We only need alpha characters. A credit card number has to be 16 digits long, so there we go, 16. 3 digits code, let's go for 1, 2, 3, and an expiration code, 12, and D. Alright, everything should be good except for expiration date once again. Oops. All right. 12/12. There we go. Everything was all good. And once everything has passed, it shows us our receipt. Now this receipt also has the same data method, but this time it passes the first name and the last name that we've entered in the payment page. So here it is, my first name and my last name, and just as it was previously, we have all of our setter methods for the object that we've passed. We have all of our labels that are initialized with the corresponding text, and I'm using again number format in order to get a more visually appealing receipt. Here I have the worth of the car's price, which was the same here. I have the tax amount, which is something customizable, as I had a 6% tax on the price, so it does the math here, and it is shown here. So it's basically the price times the tax is displayed. And lastly, the total if of the user purchasing it, which is $530,000. All right, that was pretty much all of my program. I wish everything was all good. I'm showing it one more time. One time at another. All of the windows. Thank you.